So
Any wholesalers in here that don't do seller disclosures?
Not you.
it'll get you in trouble eventually.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you.
but you gotta put it into our, it's really easy to do, or at closing you do it.
So here's what you
Not
do.
exempt.
You got lead-based paint and seller disclosure, and you're brand new at this game, right? So you're gonna give those to the people to fill out while you're filling the purchase agreement out, because you don't know what you're doing either. So now they're gonna be trying to figure that out while you're figuring out the purchase agreement. Does this make sense? Everybody's happy. So I'm gonna go through a PA very, very fast with you, but all I wanna do is point out why you need a buyer favorable purchase agreement. So this, when you get this, it looks just like a regular purchase agreement. There is no such thing as a standard purchase agreement. It's whatever anybody created, okay? So this is a standard purchase agreement. The property is to be free of debris, and at least broom cleaned at the broom clean condition at closing. And you could even add the yard rake clean. Because I'm gonna give you this form in a Word document so you can change it any way you want, okay? So that's the first clause I wanted to point out. So assumption of existing financing. So now we've gone to that house where the people are in foreclosure, right? The one that Todd's at the auction, he goes to the house and he says that I'm willing to give you $2,000 or $1. It's a don't want her. They're ready to walk away. They are walking away from the house. And you can get them to deed it off to you, right? Just sign the quitclaim deed at your house. You don't want to do that. And why don't you want to do that? Is because the minute they sign the deed off to you, whatever entity you put it in is liable because you're going to record your deed. Okay, and then I'm going to run over there and slip and fall, get a handful of glass and make sure I really cut my face good. And I'm going to call Sudden Sam Bernstein, and he's going to sue you because you don't have insurance. So that means I'm going to own everything you've got. Of course, you've got a limited liability company, so you might beat me there if you've done that. But really what you want to do is you want to record a claim of interest against the property. And my purchase agreement is going to have the right to file a claim of interest. But you've got the deed, you don't want to use that deed until you've got it resold. So you're out of harm's way. You're out of harm's way, you're LLC, you're not making the front page of the paper because you're the Mr. Debris guy and you're represent the neighborhood and you get to meet the investigative reporter. So okay, then here's another clause. So the buyer shall have the right to enter the premise during reasonable business hours for the purpose of inspections, to test or show the property to potential tenants or purchase for resale by the buyer. If the premises are vacant, the buyer shall provide a set of keys, here's your keys, upon acceptance of this offer, and if the seller occupies the property after the closing, the seller shall pay the buyer rent as detailed. You never want to really buy a house where the guy's still in it. So, and then I put penalties on it, like the water bill, but you kind of know what the water bill is. So, and I put in there'll be no proration of taxes. In Michigan and Wayne, Oakland, Livingston County, you pay your taxes in advance. So if they prepaid the taxes for that year, no tax prorations means you're taking their prepaid taxes. Does that make sense to you? So the closing shall be held on or before 2014, so a ways back. Man, this purchase agreement was like created in 2002. So, or as promptly as practical. What this does is buys me extra time for the closing, because it gives all kinds of reasons why I can extend the closing further out. Okay, and they'll sign it because why? Why would they sign this purchase agreement? They don't want her. They want out. So, okay. This is assignment of the buyer's interest in this agreement shall not be prohibited in any way, nor shall it require the seller to, nor is this notice required to the seller should the said assignment occur. The seller hereby waives his right to review the creditworthiness and financial information of any assignee in this agreement. The buyer is an investor in the event of the assignment, the buyer may charge a fee. So just more disclosure. That was, I went the wrong direction. A claim of interest, 19, it says, claim of interest, it's agreed and understood by all parties the buyer may at his or her sole option or file a registered claim of interest or a memorandum of his purchase agreement with the Register of Deeds in the county in which the subject property is located. So what happens with that is 8 years after I went in and signed a deal to buy somebody's house and they agreed to it and signed it, they went around my back and sold the house to somebody else that I had sent out there. That person bought it without getting title insurance or they missed it, okay? Now it's time to resell it. So now they're calling me because on my claim of interest, remember I got a lien against it. It says I filed a claim of interest protecting my purchase agreement. It is registered to deed. So the title company's now calling me and asking me what my payoff is. And how do I get my payoff? I just reach up and look for a number, and that number is going to be less than what it would cost them to defend it with a lawsuit, okay? And that's the number I pull down and say, this is what you owe.
What number is that?
It's like
$2
maybe
grand.
5,000, it's whatever you,
But it's money you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
so because they stole my property. Does everybody follow that? So that's the power of using this farm. And then there's another clause, seller agrees that this property will be resold, and the resale is to be conducted under the complete control of the buyer, broker, investor. The seller will not in any way interfere with the conducting of the resale or commitment or to act to hinder or in any way to diminish the effectiveness or the success of the resale of the home. Should the seller interfere with that, they're going to owe me money, and it's $2,000. Okay, so I'm putting the hammer down on it, okay? So the one clause that I didn't go over was you can go in and take over existing financing, and it says that you're taking the existing financing subject to. In a typical agreement, you would be agreeing to assume and pay. The word subject to means that you do not agree to assume and pay the underlying. It's telling them that you're not going to be responsible for that liability. So when the people are walking from the foreclosure house, I've not bought it with the intent of agreeing to assume and pay that mortgage. I've told them I'm not going to do that. Now, I'm not giving you the $2,000 because I don't want to get it resold, okay? But I'm not going to take on that debt. Everybody follow? So I got that clause in there.
But when I wholesale it, then we're gonna pay it off. But what if I can't wholesale it? Then I'm not.
You're not liable yet. What if you fail at your mission?
Right.
They'll never do business with you again. So does everybody follow that? Okay, so now, you all want to get into this business. The first thing you want to do is create a limited liability company. And you're not going to probably have a partner. Because if you got a partner, everything's complicated because now you guys are going to end up in divorce someday because that's what happens in partnership. So you don't want to, you want to start out just like with a single limited liability company. And that costs how much to get a limited liability company? $50. 50. 60, whatever it is. So, and then, okay, so I create a limited liability company, right? And now I need to find a name for it. So if I'm just buying a property to put into a limited liability company, it could be the street address of the property, it could be some generic name, ABC. But if I'm creating a limited liability company to come to all the meetings and say, you know, I'm ABC Buyers or whatever, I'm Mr. Discount Buyer. Then I want to check with the state of Michigan and see if that name's available. Then you need to pick a second name in case that name's not available. And then you can purchase that. So now you're creating your name of your company. So now you want to create some map locations or you want to create a website. So I'm an internet marketer. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to find the guy that's got the best website. And I'm going to case it. You know what that means? I'm going to copy and steal everything. So now, what that really means is I'm going to look at his website, then I'm gonna go to a site like iWriters, you know what they're off the top of your head?
Yeah.
iWriter's good, and I'm gonna take their content from their site, and I'm gonna have them rewrite it. Does everybody follow me? That's gonna cost me, it was a couple page website, that might cost me 15 or 20 bucks, 30 bucks. So now I've got a completely rewritten website, right? Then I'm gonna change the design of the website. So when I get all done, I've got a top-notch website redone at a really low dollar. Okay? And I'm not worried about SEO and it making it at the top of Google. That ain't gonna happen for you. It's just starting out. Okay, so don't try that. I mean, you can. Yeah, if you've got, like, you could pay $4,000 a month for like 12 months and it get you right to the top of Google, all of it. So, but you don't want to do that. Now I'm going to get business cards. We go buy cheap business cards that say I buy houses for cash and have my company name on it. So now we haven't spent a lot of money. And the only tools you really need to be in the wholesale game is you need a good cell phone that you can shoot video on it, and you need to, now your company, you're going to build out directory sites for it, so that if people want to look for you, you actually exist. Because it's a limited liability company, right? And what does it mean to have a limited liability company? Is that all your personal assets are here, and then the limited liability company's assets are what it owns. At this point, it doesn't own anything. But now, all of a sudden, you find the still water and you deed the property into that limited liability company. So now you've got a don't wanter's property and a limited liability company. So now, if you went and bought really good properties that are worth lots of money, have lots of equity, you might want to put them in their own limited liability company. Limited liability company, you're going to be treated the same. It's going to go on your personal tax return, just like you personally owned it, but it's going to protect you from liability from the guy who's putting glass in his hands and following the front yard calling something.
With setting up the LLC, this is a question for you all, for everyone. I'm gonna answer the issue with the address because, you know, I could put the LLC as my home address because I didn't have it registered as a home business. So I had to use, I think I ended up using like a UPS post office box address to actually be able to process the LLC. Has anyone else had a similar issue, or what do you guys think about that? You know,
I mean, you could use your home address. I don't see why not, but unless you don't want someone to find you. You can get a P.O. box. Like my P.O. box is 421 Pontiac Trail, Walled Lake, Michigan, or something like that, let's say. But they actually have a physical address you can use, like 995 North Pontiac Trail, Suite 621, Walled Lake, Michigan, but that goes right to my P.O. box. So you go, I have 3 different locations and they have a physical address you could use, you know, if you wanted to do a P.O. box.
You can get what's called a resident agent for a year, like, so you don't have to show that you own the company, right? So a lot of times it's the attorney. If you read the book How to Outfox the Foxes, then you would be creating a limited liability company, and your resident agent would be somebody named Bob Smith that lived in housing projects that nobody ever wanted to go to. So if you were a process server, you'd think twice before you even deliver anything there. So there's a lot of ways you can structure yourself depending upon what it is you're exactly thinking. So I'm not in that, but I was a long time ago. So, because I didn't want to be found. I would go to the tax auction, then the Department of Natural Resources ran it, because any property reverts back as a result of a mistake or whatever, would go to the municipality and get the first choice, but then it reverts to the State of Michigan. The Department of Natural Resources handled that. So I would go to the Department of Natural Resources auction when I walked in, there was a board that said, safety first. So I named my trust that I bought it in the Family Safety Trust. And I just make names up. And then I would create the trust documents that went with it. And then I would create the limited liability company that was the trustee. But I didn't want to be found. Because I was just, it was like, I'm buying stuff I don't even know what the scoop is on. At one point, I heard that these guys bought an environmental dump site. And they were lucky enough to have it labeled correctly that they were able to get rid of that environmental dump site that was on the EPA's watch list before anything ever happened to it. So you want to, when you're buying at a tax sale, you want to definitely buy a limited liability company. You definitely want to think things through. So, but that's, I'm getting way off topic. Setting your business up. So I would create all those things, because now you've got a website, you're listed in directory sites, you're like ready to do business, right? So that's, you can be found. And then for your company telephone number, I would probably get a Twilio number, Twilio, and that costs you $1 a month and a penny a minute for the calls, which is like nothing. And then that call, you forward it to, and that Twilio number gets forwarded to your cell phone or wherever you want it to go. Because if you ever sold the business, you can just forward it to the new owner. If you hired my son, put your signs up, you definitely want to have a Twilio number. Or you want to have a throwaway cell phone that you can just throw out the window. Because when you made a mistake, you just end it. Did you follow? Yes. I thought that was somebody else's. What? Oh, it was, yeah. I had my son help me over the years. So you want to select a company name, you want to do your paperwork, you want to get a federal tax ID number. And what we'll do is when everybody comes in the room, I'm going to send you a step-by-step book on how to create a limited liability company, what forms to sign, what paperwork to fill out, everything you need to do, put together with a real estate investing attorney that knew what he was doing, and I'll send it to you, okay? So we need to, Maureen, can we add that to when it goes out?
Yep.
And we're going to send you the buyer favorable purchase agreement and all those other forms we talked about, and the claim of interest, okay? Fair enough. So in your PowerPoint you're getting, it's going to give you where you can just get articles of an organization from the state. It's going to give you everything you need to do to go file, like where to get your forms and stuff like that. You never want to use your Social Security number on the limited liability company. You want to use it as a forwarded tax number. So evaluating a property quickly, can you like spend a minute? How are we doing on time? Yeah, we're okay. That's yours.
You mean online or at the house?
Well, what do you guys want to know? Like, you want a quick and fast way or online?
Yeah.
So the first thing you want to do is I'm going to tell you that everybody in your room wants to get a real estate license. Because why do you want to get one? Or you want to get married to somebody else?
Yeah.
And then comps, period.
Yeah.
Because you can evaluate a property, you get real, true comparisons. And then you also can do like I use mine for referral fees. Like,
Can you explain what a comp is?
Compare what?
Comparable?
Oh, somebody doesn't know, so I asked.
Right.
Okay. Oh, so, okay, so count is a comparison. So typically when you're pricing a property, you would do like 3 listed properties that haven't sold yet, and 3 sold properties where the amenities of the building match, so similar in square footage, similar in gap and bedroom count, similar updates, all of those things, and you try to find them as close to the property as possible. And those are
Who cares about that stuff?
And also, so you can also, I put in the address and I Google it, and then I look at the street scene, of course, all that simple stuff, but see what it says on Zestimate, because that's what the homeowner's looking at. So if a homeowner wants 15,000, you know, and you can say, look, if it works to your favor, or if they want 30,000 and it says 15 on Zestimate, you use that to your favor. Now, if it says 50,000, you don't say anything, right? So you always look at what they're looking at, and and so when I look at, just by going on the outside of the house, you could kind of tell by, a roof, windows, the porch, and in the summertime, the driveway. I mean, you could look at the outside of the house and kind of determine what the inside might look like. Now, it used to be like 5 years ago, that was really easy to do, but nowadays it's not as, the outside looks pretty good, and you go inside, you're like, damn. You know, I called that one wrong. So I bought houses like on auction.com, you don't get inside the houses, and you know, you wish you would have gotten the house, so, yes.
I have a question. There was one property I was kind of playing around with a couple months ago, but nothing sold in the area for the last year and a half. And there were only 2 comparables, and everything else was like 3 miles or 4 miles out. So how do you go about something like that?
What city?
Harrison Township.
Maureen?
Well, that's difficult. You sometimes do have to go to, 3 to 5 miles outside of that range to find something that has sold. But that's a big indicator that either property, because if there's a ton that are listed and nothing is selling, that tells you that's an area you probably don't want to be purchasing if you're trying to turn the property over, because they don't have a very good rate of return. And the investment return, if it takes them too long to sell. Because properties, that are sitting on market or stagnant, nothing's happening.
You get it cheap enough, and
So,
you know.
in your case, if you find out who the investor is that's moving the most properties out there, you need to take it to him and see what he can pay you as a bird dog, and see what you can strike. Remember when you were getting somebody to deed the property off, you got a claim of interest? After you got the claim of interest, if you record it, then you can put that property anywhere and everywhere. You don't have to worry about somebody going behind your back to take it. I hate to break the news to you, but not all investors are ethical. In fact, I had a really good friend, he's dead now, and he taught ethics at Wayne State. On the very first day of class, he had everybody told him there are no ethics in business. And he says, that's all I'm going to talk about, ethics. The rest of this semester's about what I want to talk about. So basically, you've got to protect yourself as an investor. So how you do that is you establish relationships with certain people that you, after you've done business with them, like Eddie, I don't need any agreements there. I just want to shake hands. I'm going to shake hands with Todd. And I always tell him a key's truck. His truck's not worth keying to because he's been hauling a lot of dumpsters. So you want to make sure you've got somebody that you can trust. That's all I'm saying. Until then, you need to have the forms properly recorded. So like if you want to go to our site and send that out to 5,500 people, then you better make sure you've got control of it. Right? So that's why those claims of interest are really important. Or your recorded deed. So what we do in our classes, and there's not enough time tonight, but there is on our site, what we do is we actually show you how to comp something out on the MLS. We get a property, because he'll go on the MLS and comp it out if it's a big deal. Like I just gave him a house in West Bloomfield, I'm positive he'll comp that out before he puts a deal together on that, you know, so. So we show you how to do that. So that we give the 27 monthly meetups, so that you can come to 3 of these meetings a month. And then we also have all the forms and past meetings.
And you have videos that break down those forms.
Yeah, and then you can also have access to me if you want something, call me up. I'll tell you who to talk to. So now, we talked about, you know, places to find buyers. So the very bottom ones, we're going to start Fiverr, Fiverr. Has anybody gone on that? We've gone to the yellow pages. Okay, you can scrape the yellow pages. So if I was in one in Michigan and scrape the yellow pages, and I'm selling in Detroit, then I'm going to scrape for all the real estate agents in Detroit, all the builders in Detroit, all of the mortgage people in Detroit, all the party store owners. I'm going to scrape for the people that I know that would have cash that would be buying those houses. I'm going to scrape real estate investor groups, and that's going to give me an instant buyers list of people that will buy my property. So now I just shortcutted you, got you off to a jump start and having a buyers list. So it costs me $6 for every like 5,000 names or something. It's a pretty low cost, but there's scrapers in there. So now I create that list, okay? Do a bigger list and scrape all the realtors from the state of Michigan, you know. So everybody follow what I'm doing? Fiverr, you could also get your website built on Fiverr. Remember we talked about that? You can also find copywriters on Fiverr to rewrite the stuff. On Fiverr, they have to come back with you and say, here's a proof, are you happy with it? If you're not happy with it, then you don't pay it. So,
Find just about anything. So
or
what
it
do you
used to
want
be for $5, that's why they called it Fiverr. Now it's $6. $6, yeah. I went in and got a guy that sounded just like Clint Eastwood, and like he Dirty Rotten Scoundrel, you know, all the sayings and that. He created this nice recording to send to somebody so that he wanted to send them a tough message. So what I'm saying is you can find all kinds of interesting stuff in Fiverr. Just stay focused on your website. It's like going to YouTube, you end up in weird places. So real estate agents it's the right real estate agents that you want to find. Landlords, like I could go to the city of Pontiac and I could do a Freedom of Information Act on them for you. You just ask them, I want to do Freedom of Information Act, and then you serve it on the city, and they give you a list of all the investors that have their properties registered with the city, which means they're probably getting past them because they're on the once-a-year inspection.
Other wholesalers is a good one. You know, you might call, especially if you're brand new, you might call me and say, I got a deal. You know, do you want to work it together? I get that call a couple times a day, you know, because I got a buyer's list and other people might share a buyer's list. So that's a way of doing it.
Email broadcasts, like Maureen scrapes all the people that are in trouble in Waterford because I got a buyer for Waterford property. Then I'm going to be able to email them, so you can do email blast.
The MLS, in my contract it says I can list the property or I can assign it, and sometimes you list it, and that's really the best way. That's one of the best ways to get the highest price.
At the courts, remember when you're a landlord, who's the landlord? In the room, landlords. Okay, when you're doing an eviction, it's probably the most motivated time for landlord because now they got, if it's an LLC, you got to hire an attorney to represent you in Detroit. And if it's got to do the eviction, you got to pay for the dumpster, you got to pay for the court officers. So they're motivated when they're evicted. So if you have a relationship inside the court, then and it's actually public information, except it's not published public information. So if you've got relationships inside the court being